Lakers owner Jeanie Buss has called out former Lakers star Anthony Davis, and she revealed the shocking truth behind the trade and has revealed some interesting information that has fans fired up. We're going to break that down as well as discuss a couple of key updates ahead of tonight's huge game against the New York Knicks. So stay tuned for all that in this episode, folks. But before we get into it, if you're part of the 89.5% who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Lakers content. The Lakers are on a roll, and we're on a roll when it comes to making videos. So make sure to hit that subscribe button. But ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot to go over today. Now, obviously, we have the Luka Doncic trade has been well documented on the channel and in general, and it has been a huge success so far, as we all expected it, with the Lakers being absolutely dominant. But something that has been lost in it is, again, Jeanie Buss. She came out and commented about the trade and kind of revealed the truth behind not necessarily why they traded for Luka Doncic, because we all know that they traded for Luka Doncic because the opportunity presented itself, and Luka's one of the best players we've seen in the past decade. But the reason that Anthony Davis was the one who got shipped out, and some very interesting details, and she kind of calls out Anthony Davis in this quote. So let's dive right into it. Let's not waste any more time. We gave up a lot to get Luka Doncic. We're happy we have him. We have lost the last 3 years in a row to the Denver Nuggets in the playoffs, and we really didn't have anything that was going to look different going into the playoffs again. Anthony Davis was complaining about where he was being played, and he wasn't happy. So I think this was a positive for both teams. They got what they were looking for. We got what we were looking for. So this is the first time we really got some actual insight from the ownership themselves and Jeanie Buss surrounding whether or not Anthony Davis was happy, the thought process behind the trade. Because on the surface, of course, it makes sense to trade for Luka Doncic, mainly because even if, let's say, you think that Anthony Davis and LeBron James had a better chance to win a title than Luka and LeBron, which I don't even think is the case now, but at the time of the trade, let's say you thought that was the case. Even if that was, of course, the actual case, Luka Doncic helps this team for years to come and really reset the timeline for the Lakers, because prior to this trade, the Lakers were in a very interesting spot with Anthony Davis aging, LeBron James. I mean, I say aging, he's 40 years old, but he still is, he's getting better somehow. But now they got Luka Doncic, of course, the timeline's reset. LeBron's probably going to play a couple more years, maybe a few more years, depending on what happens with the son Bronny and all these different things, and even with Luka Doncic. But pertains to Anthony Davis, he wasn't happy. And this is confirmation now that AD, you can see here, he was complaining about where he's being played. Of course, talking about playing at the 5 versus the 4. And he wasn't happy. And that ultimately is what it comes down to. Clearly, Nico Harrison, and we know reports that came out that Nico Harrison went to the Lakers and said that they wanted Anthony Davis because they thought that Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis would be the best possible fit to win a championship over the next handful of seasons. Unfortunately, both of them are out now with what we believe is a season-ending injury for Kyrie Irving. But Anthony Davis, Shams came out recently and said he's probably not going to play with the Mavericks the rest of the year. AD wasn't happy in LA, and it's very interesting because we kind of started to hear this once the trade happened. There was some rumblings. Let's not forget, the Lakers shipped off Anthony Davis near the trade deadline when, like a week before or a few days before, he said that they need to get another move, need to get another center because their backup center was all, Jackson Hayes at the time has been thriving. So clearly AD wanted to play the 4, and he wasn't happy with where he was being played. He said it publicly. He'd rather be a power forward. Obviously, the Lakers, given their lack of depth at the center position, were playing him at the 5 and then running different lineups there. But at the end of the day, Anthony Davis wasn't happy, and the Lakers were able to finesse the Mavericks. You can see this here. Jeanie Buss is right, and if AD was still on the Lakers come playoff time versus the Nuggets, the Lakers will lose again. Now we have a chance because Luka can go into another level offensively. Nobody else in the NBA can go. And that's an interesting point there by Lemon Pepper Lou. He, you can see here again, the Nuggets, the fact that they lost the last 3 years in a row to the Nuggets, there wasn't really, now, there is a case to be made that some Anthony Davis fans can say, okay, now that you have JJ Redick has solved a little bit of how to guard Nikola Jokic, which is a variation of a double team. It's not a straight up double team, it's a variation of a double team. And we're seeing other teams do it now. I believe the Wizards did it the other night. Jonas Valanciunas among people. So yes, there's a case to be made that JJ Redick could have coached better, or could have coached the Lakers better to beat the Nuggets. But at the end of the day, the personnel is and was the same, and the Lakers needed to make a shift. And now with Luka Doncic, you can have an opportunity to go out and win any game on any given night, no matter how good Nikola Jokic is. And some will argue he's the best player in the world. I'm not going to argue either way there. The Lakers have an opportunity to win every single night, and AD not being happy, they were able to change the culture and give a chance to win every single night in the playoffs against the Nuggets rather than do the same thing over and over, the definition of insanity. B, you have Luka Doncic for years to come now, which is going to, assuming he extends, which all signs point to him extending, like I covered in the video yesterday morning from Shams. And then C, of course, at the end of the day, it was a fleece. You didn't have to give up Austin Reaves or any other assets to get one of the best players in the NBA. So interesting report by Jeanie Buss, interesting comment there by Lemon. and it's going to be an interesting next few years for sure. And seeing how the Mavericks do, because I do think ultimately the Mavericks have a very good team, and they will probably make pushes in the next few years, especially when Kyrie and AD are healthy. But for now, the trade looks fantastic for the Lakers. It will going forward. Luka looks fully back. And speaking of Luka looking fully back, you can see this here. Tonight is a huge game against the Knicks. We'll cover the injury report a little bit. I covered it in last night's video a bit, and we'll have another one for you later tonight once the another updated report comes out. But all signs point to, of course, Karl-Anthony Towns playing in tonight's game. Of course, OG Anunoby, a couple other guys are questionable. But as you lean into tonight's game now, Austin Reaves is probable, Luka's probable, LeBron are probable. So they're all going to play in tonight's game in all likelihood. You have Karl-Anthony Towns back, which the Lakers usually dominate Cat. But something to keep an eye on for tonight's injury report once it comes out in a few hours, and I'll have a video on it, is Jordan Goodwin. He is questionable at the moment. He's played a big part into JJ Redick's bench minutes, especially as the two guard, the point of attack defender, all these different things. So him being questionable is encouraging because he was out with a grade 1 ankle sprain. Austin Reaves being probable, obviously, like I covered yesterday's video, fantastic news. And hopefully they can take care of business and win their 8th in a row. I mean, the 3.5, they're favorites right now against the Knicks. And the Knicks are obviously 40-21 in the Eastern Conference. So if the Lakers want to continue to move up the West, and I mean, there's nowhere else to really move up aside from the 1 seed, but maintain where they moved up to, which is the 2 seed, you need to win games like this tonight because Memphis are losing a lot. The Nuggets won the game, and it's going to be a very interesting game. Maybe we'll see Luka continue to drive more. Like you said, you can see here what he needs to improve on. Like I covered yesterday, got to drive more. I'm still getting in rhythm, and you're seeing some other fan bases of other teams. You can see there at the bottom, people are mad about the NBA for the Lakers finessing the Mavericks in the Luka Doncic trade there. And since the trade, the Lakers have thrived, sitting second in the West. They've won 17 of their last 20 games, including a 7-game winning streak. And of course, on the flip side of things, with the Mavericks, they struggled. So at the end of the day, it was a positive for both teams. Like Jeanie Buss said there at the top, even though AD was complaining, it was a positive for both teams. They got what they were looking for. We got what we were looking for. And at the end of the day, I didn't think there was going to be a world where the Lakers were able to pull off Anthony Davis, but to know, or pull off a trade for Luka Doncic in exchange for Anthony Davis. But to know that AD was mad, not necessarily mad, but complaining a lot about where he was playing. And then he kind of called out the front office days before the trade about getting another center to play the 5. The writing was kind of on the wall now in hindsight. Now, I didn't think it was going to be a Luka Doncic trade. You think back to them losing to the Nuggets a bunch, what they can do. And AD is one of the best defensive big men in the league. So in theory, if there was any center to beat Luka Doncic or to beat Nikola Jokic with, it would be Anthony Davis. But now maybe you got to fight offense with offense and fire with fire and have Luka Doncic come out and give you what you can hope to be an incredible playoff run. But that'll wrap it up. Let us know down below what your thoughts are on the injury reports, as well as, of course, the wild comments by Jeanie Buss. We finally got some clarity on what the reason they traded AD in the package was, and his future in LA was obviously questionable before the trade. And now they have Luka Doncic, hopefully for years to come.